lifting up a glove?
It's a sock or something.
Yes!
Good evening, everyone. It's Shane here. It's Sunday, 2nd of April, 8:12 p.m, and you are looking at a photograph of my brother's shed. His Ryobi toolkit there on the right, and the backyard through the grate. Isn't it great? Just wanted to give you something to look at while I chatted. I'm not going to do a face-to-face video because I'm too tired and it's dark and couldn't be bothered setting up the lights. So here we go. I just want to chat to you about a few things as we roll on into the second assessment task, 1B, and we look back at 1A, light. There's a couple of curly things that I want to clarify with you this week in case there's any confusion. So let's go and have a look. Firstly, last week in learning materials from week 3, you were asked to set up an album and title it Camera and place in it 20 to 25 images exploring depth of field and the blur or capture of movement. This week in learning materials, under Design Studio Activity 1 Light Meter Settings, you are asked to set up another album, this one called Light Meter with 20 to 25 images. These are both directly connected to assessment 1B. However, there's 2 albums to set up this time. You will end up with 1 marking album from the both of these. So as per the assessment summary, assessment 1B camera, you will only need 10 final images in your marking album. However, you will be setting up 2 albums in order to arrive at that selection. So I've put that in a thread. If I go to that now, I have called it something. Here we go. Under Activity 1 Light Meter Settings, if you go there, you'll see that firstly, I've got a little image copying the photograph from the Design Studio and a repeat of the task there. And below that, I've explained it thus. Above are the Design Studio Activity Light Meter Settings instructions from week 4. Please note, this week's activity asks you to set up an album titled Light Meter as part of Assessment 1B Camera. Last week, we asked you to set up another album of 20 to 25 shots titled Camera. Both of these albums lead directly into Assessment 1B Camera. To highlight that, I've highlighted here saying 10 shots from these 2 albums, that's 2 times 20 to 25 shots, or 40 to 50 shots, will be used to create your camera marking album, which is due at the end of just before Easter, Good Friday. So I hope that's clear. It's a little bit confusing the way it's written here, but this time you've got 2 albums to set up, one titled Camera and one titled Light Meter, and you select your camera marking album, the 10 shots for your camera marking album, from whatever you like from those 2 different albums. Now, the reason we're doing that is because we really want you to explore the difference in what your light meter does. So I've given a specific task here. I want you to all post a series of 3 to 5 images in the discussion board thread, post a series of capture and post a series of 3 to 5 images which explore the same subject shot using different light meter settings. So we really want to see what happens, what you learn, what you discover when, for example, you get a bowl of fruit and you stick it on the back veranda or something, or shoot it through the kitchen window, and you take a shot of it using the program mode, the fully automatic mode on your camera. Then, without moving the camera around too much, try to keep roughly the same position. Change your camera to aperture priority and shoot the same image. Then shoot it using shutter priority. And then if you've got exposure compensation on your camera, adjust that to try to enhance the exposure. And then shift to fully manual and see if you can remedy any exposure issues. For example, something might have been slightly overexposed or underexposed. what you should find is that the camera, depending on the settings, the camera's auto function is not reliable. The program function is not reliable in some settings. It's a guess, it's an average. And the semi-automatic functions, aperture priority and shutter priority, are semi-automatic functions. These are also not completely reliable. You've still got to fiddle around and find a good exposure. And you've also got to choose shutter speed according to what is going to reduce camera shake and camera blur. Or if you want to capture an image moving, do you want to freeze that image or that motion, or do you want to have the motion blurred? And what sort of depth of field do you want? Do you want a large depth of field, or do you want a shallow depth of field? Do you want us to be focused on just one part of your image, or is the image or the subject so large that it needs a greater depth of field? So these are many of the questions that you have to consider when you're taking a shot, and this task we think should help you learn something more from that. So that's that. I hope that makes sense. I look forward to seeing your shots rolling in. It's very exciting for me to see all those albums up and ready. For those of you who are a little bit unclear still how we're working it, what we want from you under your photo stream, in every assessment task, you'll always have to create a couple of albums. In this case, you've got 3 albums. For light, you had light or lighting and then light marking. All right, there's skies. Here's another one here for Dita. All right, lighting and light marking. And then Brock's albums, light and light marking. Now, some of you haven't done that, a small number of you. So please make sure you're setting up your albums. Please make sure you stick to the required numbers of images. And this week, over the next week or two, while you're shooting for camera 1B, you will be setting up 2 little albums and then choosing your marking album shots from those 2 albums. I hope that makes a bit of sense. Best of luck to you all. We'll have a collaborate session on the week after this, being the week that you rolling in towards the submission date for 1B, just before Easter. We'll do it on the Wednesday night. But certainly send any questions you want through Blackboard. Ask me anything you like. If you want me to review your work as it's coming in, please just post a link in discussion board and the link to your albums, and I'll pop straight over and have a look. And Bob's your uncle. All right, keep going, keep at it, try hard, have fun, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. I probably should end with that same image just as a kind of a bookend. Stop.